Hi, my name is Chris McAllister. Welcome to the Sight Shift Podcast. If you've ever found yourself in that tense place of leadership where big goals collide with deep conviction, there's an old word for that. It's called wilderness. And when you're in the wilderness, in the uncertainty, you're in a beautiful place because that's where you can find ancient wisdom. For ambitious, faith-driven leaders, I want you to know there's a way forward and you're not a bad leader to be where you are. We're going to help you in this podcast take all of those moments and use them to make culture your edge in your team, in your organization, in your family.
Well, hey, everybody, welcome back into the Sight Shift Podcast. So good to have you back for another episode or to join us for your first episode. He's Chris, I'm Mark, and we're rounding third, headed toward home in this series we've been doing on Make Culture Your Edge, stemming from the most recent book published last year. If you don't have a copy, I recommend getting a copy, Amazon, or go to makecultureyouredge.com. You can pick up a copy there. We've been kind of tracking with the book, but also giving you things that you're not going to get in the book, drawing out additional context, additional application, and having some fun along the way. I think this is our second to last episode in the series. Ooh. So we'll finish up the culture model today, focusing in on right connection. And then for the next episode, I want to do something that just kind of wraps it all together, walks us through actually the culture impact script. Ooh. So I think that's how we'll land the plane. But for today, we're going to dig into right connection. We've been in right communication 2 episodes ago. Last episode, we were in right change. Today, we're going to be in right connection. And if you've been tracking with us for the last couple episodes, you know we've been having a little fun with...
He's going to break my brain again.
The Lord of the Rings. Look, I looked for other examples that we could draw from that were as good and as powerful, and I just couldn't find one that I felt was better than, and it continues in the lane that we've been in for a while. So let me paint the scene.
Can I do a disclaimer first?
Please.
Because right now in today's world, Lord of the Rings is associated with a nerdiness a little bit. You know, it inspired Dungeons and Dragons. Sorry, end times preachers in 1980s that were like, it's all ending.
Oh, you're bringing back memories.
If it was cool enough for Led Zeppelin, it's cool enough for you, dummies. So
say more.
Don't push back. I mean, if you listen to some of Led Zeppelin's music, he's actually referring to places in the Lord of the Rings saga.
Okay.
So Led Zeppelin was hip to it before the nerds were, and I'd like to think of myself in the best light possible, as we all would. So maybe I have Led Zeppelin in me and nerd in me.
Okay.
Right? So that's why we like it. We hope you like it.
There's
if
something
you don't like it.
Was not on my bingo card today.
Led Zeppelin and Lord of the Rings. Yeah, man. I mean, I've pointed it out to my kids because, you know, it's changed so much. And I'm like, you hear that? Misty Mountains? Mordor? Mm-hmm. It's in there.
Okay.
It's in there.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Might have to roll Led Zeppelin into... I don't think you could say Led Zeppelin slide into my Spotify rotation.
I think you could say it that way.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
That's me being nerdy in a non-attractive way. Okay, so Led Zeppelin, Lord of the Rings. Here's the scene that I want to set. It's in the third movie, relatively early on. I don't know if it's in the third book or not, but it's in the third movie. And Theoden, the king of Rohan, has awakened. He woke up from his slumber. Yeah. He's had his transformation. They survived the battle at Helm's Deep, and now all of Rohan is being mustered at Dunharrow, and they're prepping to march to war to support Gondor. And he's got a whole cast of teammates. And he's actually letting Aragorn go in that moment to to pursue a different path. And he's trying to muster everyone that's there after Helm's Deep and knowing that they're walking into something big, ambitious, no guarantees, a lot of uncertainty, literal life on the line, the life of Middle Earth on the line. And here he is leading through that by trying to create these connections and foster the relationships and inspire and lead people into what's to come. That's the scene. What's this doing in your brain as we're kind of setting the scene here?
Well, it's like, oh man, it's all there. And to have you like do this the last couple times and again today pointing it out, it's so powerful because it's true. Like we're not cooking something up here with Communicate, Change, Connect that is like, this is true because we've said it's true. This is true because we've seen it patterned out in tons of companies and teams. This is true because it's ancient wisdom. And the reason it holds people's imagination so deeply is because it is true. Like you see these scenes playing out and the skeptic in your brain isn't going, oh, that isn't how those kind of moments work. Instead, it's like, that is how those kind of moments
intuitively,
work.
I believe it.
Yes, because we understand there has to be this vision. Will we be okay? Change. Will we find a way? And then the connection piece. Will we be alone in it?
Yep.
Or will we be supporting each other? And what I'm really moved by is, all the ways that's happening. Of course, I'm also a little distracted because Mark and I were on a trip recently doing this culture breakthrough workshop for a team. And we met up in the cafe, or he was walking by. He was all sweaty. He'd gotten up and worked out. And I had watched a Lord of the Rings cartoon that I didn't know they had on HBO in the hotel room. And it was about the king of Rohan. And so it is a different storyline. But so, I mean, what he's doing that's so powerful and beautiful is he's holding a vision. He's leading them to the change, but he's not making it about him. He's letting each of them flourish in the way that they need to and the contribution they have to make. Because that's the idea. If you just need a breakthrough for your team, for them all to see your brilliance, that is not a high-performing championship team. Your leadership capacity, and this is the king's place in this moment, is for their flourishing. So they're showing up in their brilliance. And now I can't unsee all of the orchestration that's happening. So that's where my mind goes.
I love it. I want to double click on this too, because while Theoden has his own moment of transformation and he returns to the king that can lead his troops into battle, he also misses the moment pretty huge in this scene with two people in particular that he reduces to just a role or sizes them down to what he thinks they're able to contribute.
Yeah.
And it's Eowyn. He's like, hey, you just stay behind in case I don't make it back. Somebody's got to lead these people.
Yeah.
And it's Mary.
Yeah.
In that moment.
Yeah.
Right?
I can see it in my head. As soon as you said it, I was like, that's exactly what he did.
He's leaving both of them behind because he wasn't relationally connected or aware enough to see the contribution that they could make. And we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure good intent. He wanted to provide a structure for his people. He wanted Mary to like not have to be in this scene. And yet he missed him in that moment.
Dang. I mean, that's the thing. Like so much leadership, the way we've been talking about it recently, it's dumb theater. It's performative. And so what a lot of leaders are doing are leading in such a way that, even if the direct thing they don't want said from the team is this, it would be like this facetiously. Oh, wise and great leader, you've rescued us again. Let's just go do what you've told us to do. So he's beyond that. He needs their contribution individually to make up the collective. But even in that, the humanity of it, the flaw of it, is to go, well, but they're not going to play a great contribution. And I mean, this is something that we see real time when organizations are making decisions about who to include and who not to include in the transformational process. And that's why, when we're coaching and working with organizations in the guide phase, we have different levels of deployment. And one of those is just a stupid price point. So the investment's a no-brainer because we say, don't not include, cast a wide net, because you've seen this, I've seen this in my leadership career, and we've seen this in organizations. Very often the person that you think there's no way they're going to catch fire, they're going to press in on this, they're going to become the kind of leader we need them to be, they're going to be a leader who develops other leaders, and then they do. And the person that you're like, we got to roll out the red carpet for this person, and then they don't make any contribution, significant, exponentially, in a way that they're multiplying what's been given to them. And so, as we know, she plays a pretty huge part later.
Right.
He plays a huge part.
Right.
So we can't understate everyone.
Yep.
Everyone.
Yep.
Dang.
Yeah.
It was always there, man.
It was always there, and it's been fun to draw it out. And the scene in particular where Eowyn and Mary are stepping in to play their part in the defeat of the enemy on the fields of Gondor, like, it's so moving,
So powerful.
so moving.
And he couldn't have seen that.
Yep. Yep.
His field of vision was limited, and we can't do that.
Yep. Yeah. So Theoden is both an example of how to and a caution of don't miss this along the way, which makes it so believable. So as much as I'd love to continue
Keep
down
going.
Yeah. The folks watching, listening, they want an answer to this question: how can I do right connection? What does that mean? We've spent a number of episodes kind of deconstructing what not to do. This is a focus really on what to do. So help us answer the question, when you think about connection, what does it look like to do it right?
Awesome. Yeah, and you define this, it's like you're going to learn the truth so well, you'll recognize all the counterfeits. Because there's tons of counterfeits, right? A lot of leaders that are high on extroversion think love bombing my people is connection. And they like me. And again, they wouldn't put it this crass, but it is what's happening.
Yeah, underneath.
In the insecurities.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, every leader desperately needs validation in their own ways, whether they ever say it or not. And even the ones that try to show they don't need it. And these three are very much trying to show they don't need it in connection, need it deeply. And so what you want to look for is the people on your team, first and foremost, who are really great at stepping in and serving. Because their strength can be a superpower, but for many of them, the strength becomes a weakness. They're very awesome at seeing a need and meeting it. And that is the beginning point of connection. Connection isn't just that I shared and I witnessed your experience, you shared and you witnessed my experience, and vice versa. It's something is actually shifting. A need is getting met. But for this first insecurity in this connection piece, without awareness, we just rush to meet what is asked for versus what is really needed. So our language is discerning the real need. And the example we've used in previous sessions, and it's fun to use, is if your kids bang on the table and ask for cookies for dinner, you're not a good leader if you just give them cookies for dinner. And so what I like to do is, if there are people on the team that have this wiring towards this particular identity fear, they're going to have a very astute awareness to recognize the true need if they can get beyond the insecurity. So if the king of Rohan would have had somebody like that, he could have looked at that person and said, what or who am I missing? Hey, well, you just dismissed Eowyn and Mary. No go. Don't do that. Who knows the part they're going to play? So if you've got somebody on your team and you're rolling out a vision that's leading to change, you're asking this question at this point in the connection part: what's the real need that we need to make sure doesn't get overlooked and gets met here? Because without that awareness, then oftentimes as this change starts to hit the street,
things asked for aren't the things that are really needed. And so an example I used, I know we use it in our teachings, but I don't remember if we've done it in this episode series, was a leader I had that worked for me. It was like, we need to all go to the break room at 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. Well, the real need underneath that was greater connection as a team. But I could be insecure and just say yes, and it's going to make all the high performers on our team hate that. I should say it better. Those that are really because everybody can be high performing in their own way. Those that are focused on just like an extreme, intense doing in their day. Or I could go the other extreme and completely dismiss it because I knew they would hate it, but I don't hear what's underneath that. Chris, we need more bonding as a team. And so this connection piece is so huge because it's your job to start listening for what are the real needs. And they're going to oftentimes show up as complaint or protest, disagreement, lack of contentment, and you got to be careful because that may not be coming from their heart that way. So the first thing that you're focused on in the connection piece is, what is the real need here that everyone has to have so that we can accomplish this change and do this vision? It's not just a blanket statement, though, about needs, because truthfully, in any family, in any team, in an organization, there's always a frontier of needs. There's always needs that aren't being met. And what you got to do is figure out what are the real ones that matter the most right now. If you sat down with your kids and were like, at a certain age, as they become more aware, what are the 10 things you need the most? You're not going to be able to give them all 10, nor should you. They got to go get some of those on their own. What are the main things you got to provide? That's what you're trying to get a discernment on.
Yeah.
So I'll stop there.
Yeah, it's good. I want to just highlight a couple of things that I heard or that stood out to me. One, you started that with be on the lookout for those who are good at meeting needs. And so that's an opportunity for you as the leader to not have to try to figure it all out yourself, but to work through those that are already gifted at perceiving what the real need is. Now they'll also have their own challenge of wanting to meet all of the needs, and it can be expressed in an insecure way. But there's data through that relationship that you can pay attention to, someone to help you to see what the need is. And then also the second thing is to really discern what the real need is. If you roll back this series a few episodes back, we said this a lot. The protest, the feedback, the question, the pushback, whatever, it's not a threat to the secure leader, it's information. So when the criticism comes, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, we should have this, we should have that, the secure leader is able to say, oh, that's information for me to process. There is a need that's being expressed somewhere in there. And that's the harder work of discerning and figuring it out. But what did you say the phrase is? Discern the real need.
Bingo. You can tell how to know you're doing this wrong is if you think setting, especially for companies we're working with that are growing a lot, depending on industry, 30 to 50 million, 100, 120 million, they start getting a much more professionalized HR. You want to ever become more professional as a company, but not corporate. When they become more corporate, not as professional, HR starts sending out surveys, and then they get 10 grievance committees. So that's banging on the table for cookies. You get 10 grievance committees, 10 groups of people fomenting around the ways that they're needing validated, and you think you're meeting a real need, and you're not. And those 10 grievance committees form 10 political bases of power, and they begin to be places of complaining and murmuring, and then you get that toxicity spreading out of that, and you get people who think this company exists to validate me. So again, you think you're doing a good thing, but you're actually hurting the organization. The best way it's like the old story about counterfeit bills when they would train them. You don't learn all the counterfeit bills. You learn the true ones so well that you can recognize the counterfeit. The true reality that has to happen coming out of change is this change necessitates a need. What's the real need? That's what we have to meet.
Yeah, great. Okay, so discerning the real need.
Second. Yeah. That real need coming out of that change that has to be met is going to bring about an emotional state. And that emotional state is going to be relative to this vision. So these are real words we hear: excitement, skepticism, ambition, hopeful. Everyone has an emotional state coming out of whatever that change is. And what you need is a person who can be the container for that emotion, who can meet that emotion being expressed, take it as a signal, not just noise, to get underneath it and really figure out where is the emotional moment happening in this team. And so the crazy part about all of these is the person that is most insecure, and this one shows up high in my data, that will stumble here the most is the one that over-indexes on logic and underdoes or underappreciates the emotion. They think it's not a part of the equation. So when I'm confronted with unpleasant emotion around me, when I'm insecure and I lead for my own validation, how I handle that is I want to use logic to fix you emotionally, to talk you out of your emotions. Now, I know how stupid this sounds, but it is what's happening. If I'm at my best as a leader and I'm leading secure, instead I go, oh, that's a part of the equation. That's a part of the math. I need to honor that emotion and I need to recognize it. And the need that is shaping the change we need to walk through, this emotion is a part of anchoring in what we need to become this transformation we're invited into in the change process. Emotions are the clues and the signals and the fuel. No matter what the emotion is, there's really not positive or negative emotion. It's information and it's experience. And so the leader that's wise goes, here's the emotional experience we're having as a team right now. Not in a way to talk people into their feelings or sum it all up, but to be able to put their finger on the pulse. And if you don't know what that is, you want to have somebody beside you who is very emotionally attuned and intelligent. And weirdly, it can very often be a person who you wouldn't think would be good at that because they've had to come at it so difficultly. They've actually developed a deep awareness for it. You know, I mean, my wife and I can go hang out with somebody and she's like, man, she was really hurting on that one. I was like, what? I miss a million things she catches because it's not my strength. But I've trained myself in team settings to recognize out of this change, here's the need we have. Here's the emotional moment that I'm sensing. Now, I'm not just going to tell people, I'm going to ask, where are you at right now? I want to know. And part of a healthy team means there's a leader who asks, but even if the leader doesn't ask, you're sharing it. I'm nervous going into this, and here's what I'm nervous about. I'm scared about this, which sets up the third piece, of course.
Yeah. I've got a lot of thoughts, and the desires to go back to the Lord of the Rings to pull out more examples, which is the temptation for me in this context. I think what I want to emphasize here is taking us back a couple of series ago when we were breaking down the Lead for Impact. And there's a portion in there that talks about empathy. And one of your favorite phrases is, whatever, fill in the blank, is a great starting point, is a terrible ending point. I think this would be an example where empathy as a developed skill is super valuable to recognize and see the moment. But the terrible ending point is to just simply stay in that moment.
Yeah.
The connection that you're making here with empathy is to say, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, and then we'll move on. But there's that moment that gets missed, and the risk factor we talk about here is broken trust, right? Like I've just poured myself out to you with my concerns emotionally. I'm dismissed, you've missed it, and now we move on. Like that's a recipe for broken trust.
Bingo.
But I watched you do this in a room a couple of weeks ago with a client. As the folks around the room were expressing where they are, what they're feeling emotionally, like you were eye contact locked in, body language locked in, verbal language locked in. And we didn't stay there, but what you were communicating to them is, I see you, I hear you, and in return, they feel a little bit more known.
Yeah, right on. 1,000%. There was a show called Parenthood we watched as a family years ago, and the husband and wife were having problems, and he learned from the therapist. He would just go, okay. He would start to start to rush past the emotion. I see you, I hear you. And that was his little pattern interrupt.
Yeah.
And I think there's an evolution beyond that where you don't have to fall back on these kind of phrases, but these kind of phrases are a great starting point.
Yep.
And it helps your brain signal to them. And I think, like everything, I mean, all leadership's lived out in tension, and there's two ditches. One ditch is to blow past the emotion, which is the profile of some of the leaders we work with at the top. Mm-hmm. The other ditch, though, is to be, I'll tell you what, I'm editing what went through my head. I didn't know if I could say it, but I'm just going to say it. But, I mean, the best leadership is alpha-beta combination. Masculine, feminine energy coming together the best you can. You don't have to live into one or the other. You be who you are as a leader, but you got to be able to blend both. Mm-hmm. So what I was going to say is, on one end, you're so alpha, you rush past it. This isn't just masculine. But on the other end, you're so beta, and you try to therapeutically, like, over-speak to it, over-comfort it, stay in the moment too long. And that's gross, too.
Coddle.
Yeah, coddle. Leadership means I am meeting this moment as it is, but we're still going somewhere. And so I'm going to witness that experience. I'm going to avoid both of these ditches, make sure there's a felt sense of being heard, but then let's go to what's next. Mm-hmm. If we don't go to what's next, we've found the need, we've felt the emotion. Okay, now what?
Right. It's not done.
There has to be something else, or this just dies.
Yeah.
Which is why you see some people online sharing a lot about how they stayed with a counselor for years and didn't see any transformation. They got stuck. And so then you see a very gross overreaction. All therapy is bad. Mm-hmm. You had one of the leading guys in venture capital this past week say introspection ruins you emotionally, and no great leader does it. What? Now, history wouldn't match up with that. Mm-hmm. I get what he's trying to say in a bombastic way, and that is too much rumination is a bad thing. So if we get circular in this moment, ruminating, rehearsing all the wounds, getting our pound of flesh, that's when we're in a danger zone. So you have to have this intelligence within yourself, and you can't give what you don't have, to know when you're doing that. Because if you know when you're doing that, you won't do it to others. You'll give them better leadership. We're going to contain that emotion. We're not going to get in the ditch where we rush past it. But we're also not going to stay here. We're going to move to this next piece.
Yeah, it's good. Keep going. Let's go.
So the last part of connection, I mean, this is a definition for human connection. And again, the danger zone is if we were with your team and we said, tell me about your favorite moment here, relationally. What's your favorite moment? And if 6 months, 9 months, 2 years ago, that's dangerous. Human connection is built on three things: needs being met, emotions being expressed, and vulnerable sharing. We're all human. This is why we love art that is real and true. Whatever, music, shows, movies. We do not like art that is contrived. I saw recently where somebody shared, Facebook killed the metaverse. Mm-hmm. 80 billion, 40 billion, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Imagine owning that in a meeting. I was wrong. Props to them. Move on, kill it. But there was a 2-minute video that was resurfaced from like 2021 when they launched it. And it was two people, I won't name names, sharing about the metaverse in the most contrived, inauthentic, false conversation you could imagine. It would be like you told the AI, generate a video and make it seem as robotic and weird as possible. We know, not real, we push away. And this is the thing that nobody has it all together. No one. Everyone listening or watching to this right now, at some point in their life right now, has some kind of vulnerability. Mm-hmm. Everyone. And I mean, it happens to me all the time. It happened to me today. I told Mark about it. I hopped on a call. I was like, this guy has it all together. He was like, Chris, I don't have it all together. And he shared with me his vulnerability. Like, this is what bonds us together as humans. And so what we know is if you're going to have that vision that you communicate and that change you step into, the connection is the reason we're taking this hill. And the deepest bonds of community come out of a shared mission when there's a secure identity. So we get this need met, we have this emotional expression, and we ask for support from each other. Not what I need you to change about you.
We've seen that, haven't we?
Well, tell us about that without naming the names and protecting the innocent.
Again, with an organization recently and trying to draw out this moment, the question was some form of, okay, what support do you need to vulnerably express?
Yeah.
Or what vulnerable expression of support do you need?
Yeah.
That you can express.
And I'm going to look something up germane to this.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Yeah, and without fail, everyone in the room, 15 people, 20 people or so, everyone in the room started first with, well, I need the other person, or I need the organization, or I need the leader, or I need somebody else. And it was as if their brains to a person couldn't wrap their heads around being able to vocally say something like, I'm not sure I can do this with as many gaps as we have in the process. Or I've got all these things going on at home, and I might come in occasionally a few days a week feeling run down and not at my best, and I need you guys to know that. Like, they couldn't initially articulate that. We had to draw it out, and you did a masterful job of drawing that out of them. But it was that next step that the brain was resisting. This is danger. I don't want to admit this. I always go back to Steve Irwin. Have you heard me do this?
Yes.
Danger.
It's stuck in my head now, so it's working.
Exactly, right. So the brain is perceiving a threat that's not a real threat, and it's getting in the way of true vulnerability. I need you to know something. I need to make a vulnerable ask. I need to admit something. I need a pause, like whatever it is. It's being able to express that vulnerable need, which is that next step.
I love it. I'll give 2 reference points. One, ancient wisdom. One, modern parable. Modern parable, Eminem, 8 Mile. At the end, he knows Papa Doc's going to call him out, and so he just calls himself out first. It's freaking crazy. Powerful scene. Because now you can't humiliate me if I humble myself first. And that's the idea. And this is why this is so hard. It's like, think about an apple pie without cinnamon. Think about an apple pie without a scoop of ice cream. Think about a steak without the right blend of seasonings, or maybe you do, or butter. The cream on the top of the whole process this is the congealing point for this team. This is the vulnerable expression. We've been building up to this moment, and we need to get that need met, that emotion expressed, and this vulnerable sharing, not forced, not hype, not just out there, I'm struggling with my mom about this thing, but relative to this vision, here's what I'm scared or nervous about. Ancient wisdom. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. The only way that you speak from a place of self-possessed clarity like that is if there's no duplicity in you. And the reason duplicity exists in us, and this is why that identity fear, this last one, is the validation identity of a closed book, because they're afraid, I can't reveal this, or blank will happen. And what we're trying to do is to take teams to that last point, relative to the vision, not just whatever. What's the thing that you haven't said in the room up to this point? That's the piece we're trying to see facilitated. Because if you can come out with that, and the way that we're wording it is, what are you afraid to say out loud that reflects what you need from yourself so we can go do this vision.
Mm-hmm.
Because and this is, I think, where we're learning how to improve it on our end, the need from yourself that others can support you in, or else all of y'all are the problem. And if y'all got fixed, we'd all be fine.
Right.
Yeah. So we're going to get better at that. And I wanted to look that up because I did some work on that, and it's a little sharper, not where we want it to be. So see you at a team setting soon.
Yeah, if we ended all of this with, now you go fix your stuff, that would be like, what?
Yeah.
That one, it's off brand. Two, it's not going to work. So really, it is what vulnerable. How did you say it again? Because I liked it. The vulnerability of within yourself.
Yeah, this is the thing. This is the last mile of this. The 8th mile. No, this is the last mile of this. This is the thing that I need to say out loud. That is my vulnerable expression of where I need support.
Yeah.
Not where I need you to change. I need your support on this.
Yep.
You know, one of the things I've been working on in settings the last year and a half or so is a clear, concise communication. So the way that I've vulnerably asked for Mark's support would be, was that too much context?
Yep.
I'm trying to triangulate, not just on my own inner bearings, but how it's coming across. So that's a way that I'm being vulnerable, right? I'm opening myself up for you to go, that was too much, or whatever. Simple example. These examples abound.
Yeah, I think reciprocated, where I'm doing the same thing, is I have a concern, but I don't want to come across as bad idea, discount, swipe left, move on, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're both doing it in our own wiring, in our own way, and you've created a container, a space for us to do that. There's a thing in the book and in your talking, teaching that I want to end with, and that is this idea that the vision really is the people. Spend just a couple minutes on that as we land the plane on this episode.
Yeah. You know, I was 20 years ago, a lot of leadership, responsibility, and pressure. And I remember saying to a friend of mine, if I could just get him to follow the vision. And he was like, Chris, the vision is the people. And I was like, learn something new, I'm a dummy. I mean, all the ways I lead for validation, right? Like if they'll follow the vision, we'll be successful as an organization, and then I can feel whole. And it was a revolution internally and a revelation. And just that, you know, the point of vision isn't so the company grows. The point of vision isn't so whatever. All those things are the outgrowth of the people being transformed, which is why this whole model, it calls you out into something that you don't think you can do, collectively and individually. It shows you the change you need to make to live into that reality, and then gives you the emotional strength and support so that you can depend on others in a healthy way to get there. You're going to be okay. You're going to find a way, and you're not alone. And that's the point of vision. We have a vision of faith, unseen reality we can get to. We live real change in the hope of the substantive commitments we make. And the greatest of these is love. That's the purpose of it all. We spend so much time together. Why not? Why not? Have fun, be transformed, and be connected.
It's great. So as you think about, as you process, as you put these ideas into your own context, I wonder if you notice, or if you pay attention, might you notice a place where the vision for you has drifted away from really the people and developing and connection and community to just profits, to just achievements, to your own validation, and maybe stepping on toes here a little bit. But as you move past we've given you information to what do you do with it, I would just invite you to consider maybe where you've experienced some drift. And the opportunity is to come back to seeing it all in the context of the vision really is the people, and how you are able to lead them in their own transformation and collective shared mission to go after whatever it is you are going after. Okay. Well, let's call it here with this episode.
Can I 30 seconds?
Oh, please, yeah.
Only because you took me there. You created space for this, so it's Mark's fault. No. I believe for people watching or listening to this right now, if you're at a place where real transformation could happen, you wonder if it's going to be okay. And you're leading a large team or organization, small team or organization, your family, whatever. And that's scary. And doubts are real, and everyone feels them. And the answer to those doubts is not to push harder on the things that got you here. Because what's happening in these doubts is actually a moment to transform you. And you're doing great probably most of the time. You probably are. You wouldn't be watching this. You care. But there's a few percentage points of your day where in that doubt, in that insecurity, under that pressure, the worst of your leadership behaviors don't match your best intentions. If you can get that zeroed in on, and this model will help, the book will help, other stuff we make will help, you will be on the other side. And you'll actually go, I'm glad, I don't want anybody to get hurt. I'm glad that circumstance went down the way it did because it transformed me. So that's what I would want to encourage them with.
So good. All right, so we've run the course, the tension points, the risk factors, the connection or communication change, connection, faith, hope, love. Final episode to come. We'll kind of bring it all together and do a walk through the culture impact script to put a bow on the series.
Awesome.
For now, think about the closing application opportunity as you lead wherever you show up to lead and serve. And we'll see you again shortly for the next episode. Until then.
Thanks so much for being with us on the Sight Shift podcast. I hope in some way we've encouraged you to face, lean into, and become aware of the moments that represent so much transformation possibility. If you want more, you can always go to SightShift, SIGHT, shift.com, and learn to make culture your edge.